And it's a big gap. It's a huge gap in construction. I can tell you that right now. Project managers, may learn how to manage projects, but, they get promoted for being good at that. And their next people, the next thing that they're managing are the people that are managing the projects, and they don't get any help learning that. And I think that's true throughout most of our industries. We just expect those people that are good at doing the thing are going to be good at managing the people that do the thing. And they're not always. They need the tools.
Welcome, everybody, to A Quality Podcast. We're happy this week to have back with us Brian Winningham, the most patriotic lean person in America right now. And a lot of our podcasts, we have really good conversations about the world of lean consulting and continuous improvement, operational excellence in various sectors. Today, we're going to go a little bit deeper with Brian. We know that a lot of our listeners have to facilitate conversations and change. And today we're going to talk about a tool set that you can add to your toolbox that can help you as you facilitate conversations. So, Brian, welcome to the show. Say hi to everybody who didn't catch you last time.
Hi to everybody who didn't catch me last time and who did catch me last time also. We say hi to you also. Everybody gets a hi.
So, Brian, you introduced us to Liberating Structures last time in our conversation. Today, we'd like to look at that a little bit more closely. So assume that everybody listening is as dumb as I am, and tell us a little bit about what liberating structures are and what they mean to you.
Wah, wah, wah.
John,
Sorry, go ahead.
I really don't know that I'm qualified to speak to a level, to that level of if that's the audience that we're trying to hit. I might have to. You might need Jake to translate for me. Is all I'm saying. Maybe he can bridge that gap so that your intellect might even eventually even understand the stupidness that comes out of my mouth. So
we'll get it one way or another. So tell me about Liberating Structures.
So I was introduced to Liberating Structures a couple of years ago up in Boston by a gentleman named Hal Maycomer, who's sort of a long-time lean construction practitioner and I think had lean manufacturing in his background even before that. Liberating Structures, I recognized it as, my job as a coach. I recognized right away, what the power of it was for me and how it could help me. But it helps you make sure that everybody has a voice in the conversation, and it's based in complexity science. Its precepts and concepts and everything are all very much come from like the Agile community. You can see a lot of that influence there. There's a Slack community of about 8,500 people that share knowledge constantly. It's just an amazing community. So there's a lot to be said for all of the liberating structure stuff and the support and everything that's available there.
Okay, so I'll put a link in the show notes and stuff so people can check some of this out. But Liberating Structures, is it fair to say that Liberating Structures is sort of a collection of methods that facilitators can use in specific situations to be more effective?
It's like having a Swiss Army knife for a facilitator. It really is. If you've got a specific thing that you want to do, and I'll share some of the documents later that kind of show you how to do that. You can actually, take several liberating structures, and they call that a design string, and put them together and sort of have them build on each other to sort of accomplish a purpose, an overall goal if you're trying to. So, there's any number of really good uses for liberating structures, even if you just need them for one meeting. Liberating structures, they help you in 15 minutes, you and your group can attack a problem and a challenge. And in 15 minutes, you'll have at least 3 or 4 really good suggestions to be able to move your group forward. And that's using a 1-2 for all, which is sort of a foundational liberating structure. So let me just sort of explain it, I think is really the best way, because the name of it is descriptive for what it actually is. So it's called 1, 2, 4, all. And the way that that works is, whatever challenge or question that the group is working on, you put that in front of everybody. And then you give everyone 1 minute of silent reflection, where everyone has to sort of stop and think about whatever the challenge is. At the end of that 1 minute, the facilitator will let everybody know, hey, it's time for you to go into pairs, and you find another person, and the two of you just discuss whatever you just, were thinking about in your time of silent contemplation. And then at the end of 2 minutes, the two of you find another pair, and you take 4 minutes, and you discuss together what the pairs had came up with. And as you're doing that, you sort of look for what bubbles to the top. What are the similarities? What is kind of happening? What are we all sort of seeing the same way? And that's sort of the main points that you want to bring back to the all. And then as the facilitator, once you've gone that 4 minutes with the groups of 4, you have everybody come back to the main group. And you can do this virtually. It was a little bit of a problem early on with Zoom and the different platforms because people couldn't move freely. So we ended up doing what's called a 1-3 all, where we would give everybody a few moments of silent reflection, then put them in together in groups of 3, and then have them come back to the main group and share that way. But a lot of these structures translate over into virtual facilitation as well as, in-person facilitation. They were all made specifically for in-person facilitation to start with, but they have translated well into the virtual world.
So here's where this interests me and kind of bridges the gap is I've worked with quite a few continuous improvement professionals in my career. I'd say they're probably 50-50. About half came out of engineering and half came out of some other business management. Many of the professionals I've worked with are very good at understanding physics in a factory or operational setting. When it comes time to solve the problems, they're less skilled in getting people to work together. And so when I researched facilitating structures, really what I saw there was a bunch of different methodologies that can work very well for really anybody that has to get people to work together and solve problems, which of course applies very well in our industry, right?
Yeah, and all of the instructions, there's a website, there's a book, and there's an app. The website I found to be most useful for understanding the structures. The app is very great for putting together design strength, going back and forth between the website and the app. And then the book, buy it if you want to, but you don't have to. It's not necessary. There's plenty of information on the website. The Slack channel, if you so inclined and want to get involved there, there's a wealth of information and people there that will help you without, at the drop of a hat. It's really an amazing community. It's especially tight knit for 8,500 people that really don't even know each other all that well. So.
John, I feel like I would be remiss if we didn't challenge Brian to give him a problem statement and let him facilitate on us a little bit with some liberating structures.
Yeah, let's get some public practice going. So let's think of a problem statement that is appropriately juicy to keep the audience engaged, but not so out there that we air our dirty laundry. So there goes all of my ideas. Okay.
Let me stay as general as possible, and a problem I've had at every job I've ever had, and that's there is an engineering benchmark for performance, and our group is unable to hit it. That's my problem statement. There is an engineering standard for what my productivity should be. Our team is unable to hit it.
Okay. Before we go any further, Brian, to add some color, right? I don't think it's fair to call it an engineering standard for productivity because I've only worked directly for one two companies that engineered a productivity standard. In all the other cases, it had nothing to do with engineering at all. It was a contract somebody signed. So is it fair, Jake, to say there's a performance standard that the team can't meet, and somebody probably pulled it out of their bag of tricks?
I've been in both where it was legitimately engineered and not, but we can go a step broader and say the expected standard is not being met by the group. Based on, nobody knows if that standard is realistic or not, as John's pointed out, but the expected standard is not being met.
Okay, so Brian, your role in this, you've been brought in by the company to help the team figure out why they're not hitting this standard, right? Talk through some of the actions you might take and, like where you would use a liberating structure to facilitate.
Well, do you mind if I share my screen real quickly?
Yeah, please do.
I can show you how we would look at this and how we would do this. So only I would need to talk to the team and find out a little bit more, Jake, about what's going on. How does the team work together? Need to be around you for a little bit to kind of understand, what your processes are a little bit, especially since I'm not in manufacturing. I'm in construction, so it's a little easier for me to envision those processes in construction and sort of know what those are. But, I would ask first, do we understand, what we're trying to do? Do we need to make the purpose of our work together clear? If that's something that really makes, resonates with what's happening, is we don't have a lot of clarity about what we're doing, then what I can do is I can come and I can go down here and I can do my 9 whys.
All right, let's jump into that a little bit. So my job is to walk to a warehouse location, a physical bay in a warehouse, grab a box, bring it up, put it on a conveyor belt. That's my whole job. Is I am traveling a warehouse, grabbing packages, putting them on a conveyor belt, and we're not hitting the number of packages we need to hit.
Well, but that's not what you're doing, is it, Jake? What are those packages that you're doing? I mean, what's the impact that you're making? It'd be my first question. Who are the packages for?
I guess every evil guy in this hypothetical scenario that orders on Amazon. So, what is your company only based on profit? I mean, if that's the case, then maybe there's something missing there. I don't know that Liberating Structures is going to change that, but we can start to find out, what those answers are. So as that person, your job is to move boxes. So what do you feel like is happening that's causing you not to meet your quota of moving boxes? Are the boxes not the right size in the right place? So this would be, move them? Would that question that you said there, would that be where our 1 minute of reflection comes in? Where we're asking the group, so what is it you feel is in the way, and let us sit and soak that in.
So if we went to the 9 whys, and let me take you over to the 9 whys. So that's a pretty simple thing. Let's come over here. Let me explain to you. So if we thought that was what we needed to do, was make what we're doing, with breathtaking simplicity, you can rapidly clarify for individuals and a group what is essentially important in their work. What happens, if your packages aren't there, then truck drivers are waiting, right? That's really what's happening next, right? If your packages don't get to where they're going. It's not so much that there's a big difference between you getting a package over there in 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever that number is. It's that the next person down the line is, that your customer isn't getting what they need from you, right? That's really what we're looking at. So what we want to do then is we can come down here and look at what the sequence of steps are. So you've got a structuring invitation, and then what do you do when working on blank? And why is that important to you? So we could ask, what are the things that you do when you're moving those boxes? What are the important steps for you? What do those mean? and keep asking why up to 9 times or until participants can go no deeper because they have reached the fundamental purpose of what they do. So it's just like the 5 whys, only, I mean, I'm not sure if both of you are familiar with the story, but the story I heard about the 5 whys and why we ended up with 5 is because that was sort of a flip answer that Taiichi Ono gave someone when they sort of asked him and wouldn't let him not answer how many times to ask why. So he said, ask 5, and he just turned and walked away. So that's the story I heard. I don't know how true that is, I mean, whatever, but,
it could be 3 or it could be 23, right?
Until you get to a root cause. Yeah. Right. And it's the same way with 9 whys.
What I liked about this liberating structure when I was going through was I said the same thing as soon as I saw it. I was like, this is just, 5 whys, or asking why till you get to the root cause. But what I love about it, as you shared on your screen, this tool tells you like what to do, like how to actually do 5 whys. And if you look at the invitation to participate in the sequence of steps and time allocation, you can plan ahead and structure much more efficiently, and you don't have to make it up as you go along. You can just follow this template to get good results. In contrast, you might have walked a process and observed what's going on, taken notes, look for waste, all of that stuff, have a pretty good idea of how things need to improve. And yet, as a lean facilitator, your goal at this point is to open the eyes of the people doing the work and have them discover the solution, right? As opposed to just telling, okay, you're going to do this now, change that. That doesn't work. We know that doesn't work, right? So you're going to do this 5 why exercise and probably are going to exhibit a little bit of influence, right, on the exercise to steer the participants in a good direction. So you're facilitating this 5S event, or I'm sorry, this 5 why event. You're asking the team why 5 times. Now, there's a lot of ineffective ways you can do this, and for folks that maybe are weaker on the facilitation part, that's where I find liberating structures could be very helpful, right? And most of them apply to different facilitation events, as opposed to supplanting maybe the tools that you already have. These are methodologies for facilitation for stuff you are probably already doing. So an example of maybe a less effective approach to a 5 why event would be getting everybody in the room and saying why, and then writing down like the one answer that you agree with. Okay, why? Right. And I've seen this done. That's why I'm using it as an example. Right. And so half of the people walk away thinking, well, this is complete garbage. Like nobody even listened to me. Right. And the learning kind of didn't happen. But when you look through the way that the tool is written in Liberating Structures, it's designed to get everybody engaged and heard, and they'll learn as they go and experience, hey, I think like this guy, and I think differently this way. And this gal over here with this other payer, they actually, the things that kind of bubble to the top for them, match ours like 80%. Okay, this is good. So I have some validation there, right? And so it allows people to experience group validation as well as, hey, I thought of something nobody else thought of, right? Which is an important psychological component for team members to feel like they're valued and part of the team. So I like the example that we just walked through. Here's a really standard thing you might be doing in your lean facilitation. And the liberating structures kind of teach you how to facilitate and gives you a template where you can effectively go through these exercises as a continuous improvement professional.
And it gives you a time frame, so it shouldn't take you, if it's something that should take you 20 minutes, it shouldn't take you an hour and a half to do, right? mean, maybe sometimes it does, and as you get more experience at facilitation, you'll understand why it might sometimes. But as in the beginning, I had a thought as you were talking. I wonder how many young process engineers just annoy the crap out of operators. When they come up with their 5 whys that they learned in school. And they start asking those 5 whys without understanding what a root cause even looks like. Right. And that's what I really like about this, is because it has some questions, and there's also tips and tricks and things below there that can help you, as well as some sort of visual stuff there that can help you. But lots of tips and traps and stuff like that to help you sort of get past that stuff. I love 9 whys, and that, I saw right away too, the tie-in between it and lean. And even when you look at liberating structures, let's see if I can find where it's at.
While you're searching there, I'll tell a great story about a time in a galaxy long, long ago, far, far away, where I found a root cause that was precisely 9 whys and was asked to rewrite it because 5 whys was the standard. And I had to go back and not just revise the root cause I had come to, but also the solution in order to make it fit the document. If you want to talk about just completely like somewhere far out in sea, there's this boat, but you have never laid eyes on it.
How in the world how did you keep from getting your young process engineer soul crushed at that point, Jake? Really, seriously.
Oh no, my soul was immediately crushed. I've been dead ever since. That's where this brand has taken off. Is I was like, well, you know what? What if I suddenly just take a huge crap on that company metaphorically via LinkedIn and like that
I had a similar situation where an employee was in an accident, and the whys, there was really only 3 whys, that you could answer there. And I got the same thing. Somebody now this is not like an engineering group or an OpEx group coming back. This was like operations management coming back and saying, no, it has to be 5 whys. It's 5 whys. Like, it's 5. I'm like, you know what? I'll make it 5. So I just took like there was 3. I took the one in the middle and I turned it into 3. And it was so sarcastic. Nobody with an IQ above room temperature could have, not been offended reading it, and submitted that. And the response I got was, see, now you're learning. This is much better than the last one.
It was very cold rooms there. Very, very cold rooms.
No, that cracks me up. So what I wanted to show you and share with you is the principles behind liberating structures, because they're very, very much the same as the same principles for lean and for agile and for Scrum, and a lot of those things that you see there. So, it's include and unleash everyone. Practice deep respect for people and local solutions, build trust as you go, learn by failing forward, practice self-discovery within a group, amplify freedom and responsibility, emphasize possibilities, believe before you see. That's a great one. Invite creative destruction to enable innovation. That's TRIZ, which we'll talk about in a minute. Engage in seriously playful curiosity, and never start without a clear purpose. So, those really align for me, with my lean journey and the things that I want on my lean journey. So that's sort of why they are sort of important to me, and why they really, align with what I'm trying to do. And I can't, they are Creative Commons, just, I'll throw that in there. So, you can use them, you can share them, but you can't sell them. So, shame on you for making money on them if you try.
Well, I'll do my best.
Yeah, what I really enjoyed about liberating structures and going through this was, part of what I do is help other consultants, and many of them have some of the same problems. One challenge that comes to the surface, frequently in the execution part, is just the how do I do it, particularly for those folks that maybe spent 30 years with one company, Komatsu or something like that. And so they kind of learned one way of doing lean, and they're trying to help companies that don't fit in that mold and use different tools. And do you use an A3 or an 8D, and all of the minutia that you get into sometimes. The actual like classroom learning, like adult learning theory, and how to actually influence people and change behaviors permanently, that's an ongoing gap. Because most of the folks that I work with, they came from more of an engineering type of background. And the ones that didn't often came from a blue collar background, like they did the work and came up through the ranks. Both of those categories are usually really good at sort of the engineering side, and even the people side, like on a one-on-one basis.
Mm-hmm.
But facilitation, classroom, large groups, it's just different. Like there's whole PhD dissertations on this stuff, and we shouldn't assume that we're good at it.
Or that
John,
there's not always more to learn, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
Even
always,
if you are good at
always
it.
more to learn.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
and
Phil.
I feel like, John, you really need to like drop something that's like, here's hard skills and soft skills training, because that just doesn't exist. It does not exist anywhere.
Yeah, it's a gap. We'll probably address it at some point.
I like what Google's doing. Have you seen that where they've sort of looked at TWI and developed their own internal TWI, models and stuff like that, where they're teaching leadership to their people and to their managers. And it's a big gap. It's a huge gap in construction. I can tell you that right now. Project managers, may learn how to manage projects, but they get promoted for being good at that. And their next people, the next thing that they're managing are the people that are managing the projects, and they don't get any help learning that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true throughout most of our industries. We just expect those people that are good at doing the thing are going to be good at managing the people that do the thing, and they're not always. They need the tools.
Yeah, couldn't agree more strongly. We've had quite a few stories about that on this podcast, including my story. The first time I was promoted, I was a very good case lot order filler for Walmart Logistics. I was the best, and got promoted, to team leader, and I was the worst. The habits and values and everything that it took to be a good individual contributor worked against me as a team leader, right? As an individual, I had to put myself first. My productivity came first. Get away with as much as you can get away with. Don't worry about the rest of the team. Be aggressive, be challenging, win all of the contests, right? And then all of a sudden you're in a role where you have to get results with a team, and most of the team is not that good, right? So those two things don't go together. Now, I had the good fortune of, having good people that would just talk, to me honestly and speak truth, into my life. And also, I generally teachable. I wanted to succeed. I just didn't know any better, right? So we see that story all the time. Go ahead.
So what I would say, you just brought up, TRIZ. I wanted to kind of sneak that in here, creative destruction, because, I think for what you were thinking at the time, maybe that's what we needed to kind of figure out. So TRIZ is originally was based on a problem-solving technique developed in the Soviet Union. And here I'll usually spit on the floor because I was very much a child of the 80s, and the Soviet Union was the big boogeyman that we all fought against. And I was in the military in the 80s, and we killed commies for mommy and all that kind of stuff. So
and for
whatever.
all of our listeners out there, TRIZ is one of the liberating structures. So go ahead, Brian.
So the Russian model is a little bit different than the TRIZ that we do in liberating structures. And I'm not going to spend any more time on the Russian model. But what we're looking to do with TRIZ is creative destruction. So we want to get the creative juices flowing. And the way we do that is by making it a little bit fun to start with. So we ask people the question, whatever our challenge is that we're working on, or whatever goal that we're trying to reach, we ask the group, how could we make it fail? And what specific actions could you as an individual take to make sure that it failed? Right. And then we spend some time, I've done this in person. I usually like to do a bubble chart, and I'm just up there on a whiteboard and I'm writing as fast as I can write, and people are throwing answers out there, and it's a lot of fun. People jump into it and get with it pretty, because it's kind of fun to break things, right? I mean, we all kind of do. I mean, I think I told us a little bit of a story.
We all have an inner
time.
saboteur. We do.
I mean, when I was 18, I got to blow stuff up, right, for pipelines. So I definitely love breaking stuff. And I was an Army Ranger. That's what we're known for, is breaking stuff. So, but Triz help, and then from there, after everybody's kind of, you've got all the answers that you think you're kind of going to get, after 5 or 10 minutes or so, you kind of stop, and then you say, okay, so our next question is, what are we currently doing that in any way, shape, or form resembles these things we just talked about that are going to stop us from being successful?
Let's do it with my productivity example. So John and I work in a warehouse. We are 5 boxes an hour away from hitting that goal.
So what in the world could we do to make sure that we never hit that goal ever? And what specific actions could you take, Jake and John, to make sure that we didn't ever hit that goal?
I could take that package and I could go put it in the trunk of my car. Beat that.
All right. I could hide between 2 aisles and some boxes and not move anything.
I could take that box to maintenance and light it on fire with the acetylene torch.
8-hour bathroom break.
God damn, this is getting hard. I could run over it intentionally with a fork truck.
I could not actually scan anything and keep moving the same box slowly throughout the warehouse.
I could organize a touch football game using the box as a football.
There you go. There you go. So
And
we
by the
have some
way,
good.
Before you go any further, that metaphor touches on all sports, so I don't want to hear any soccer, basketball, whatever. I nailed it all with the football thing, rugby. Okay, so I got some.
Group
Oh,
sports
wait,
with a ball.
wait,
Group
wait.
sports
Just
with a
because,
ball.
just
Group sport
because
with a ball.
Any sport with a ball or a puck, close enough.
John's not good at being inclusive. John's not good at being inclusive. So
What liberating structure do I
since
need
John's
to
not good at being inclusive,
We'll get that one for you next,
you
John.
can play hide a lie. You can play hide a lie with the boxes and not get your productivity numbers. Please continue.
Highlights played with a ball.
I was, my first thought was, deciding which of the packages I wanted to use as a porta-john.
That's an apt
right.
name given the one
mean,
John I have in my life. That's an apt name.
I think you might have won that one, Brian. Okay, so we just creatively destroyed a whole warehouse, right? And that was kind of liberating. Like if I were actually working in this warehouse, no, but I'm being serious, right? If I were an actual worker in this environment and I had the chance to talk the way that I just talked, it got a lot of steam out. Like that actually felt good. Like there's a lot of shitty stuff that, we could do here.
It's not an easy job. It sucks. It hurts.
Yeah.
It's a hard job. It is. Yeah.
Okay, so Brian.
So our next question is, which of those things that we just talked about, what are we doing now that in any way, shape, or form resembles those things?
Oh.
So,
well, okay,
Jake, you talked about an 8-hour bathroom break. Is there maybe, lots of 10-minute bathroom breaks throughout the day every now and then?
Yeah.
A lot, yeah. I have some incontinence.
I mean, I talked about, putting a package out in my car. So maybe not that, but if I'm moving the package in any cardinal direction except right towards that line, same thing, right?
if it's 2 o'clock on Friday and you haven't scanned, 5 or 6 packages and you're getting off in 30 minutes at 2:30, are you really, maybe, John's over there talking to you, Jake. Are you gonna keep scanning? You gonna let them go maybe, and know the next shift can pick them up?
Yeah, definitely enough of if one of my breaking comments was if I just pretended like I was doing the job essentially with the same box, and anything I'm not doing to move the process forward is inhibiting our goal.
Yeah. So our next step is to figure out, what first steps, and we're not looking to solve the problem in any way. We just want to know what first small step, what Kaizen, what's first small itty bitty step we can take forward that gets us past doing these things that we just talked about that we do sometimes.
Excuse my French, but John cannot shit in the boxes.
Okay, we'll start there. That's fair. No box shitting.
I'm not judging you, but please just stop.
Stop it. I'm not really sure that's helpful. Just stop it. Jake, you're not old enough to laugh at that joke.
I'm not? What is it in reference to?
Exactly.
So I am old enough to tell you that when I first started in construction as a laborer, that we had job-made wooden outhouses on the site, and
Oh wow.
generally the iron workers, when they showed up, at least one of them would get set on fire because they weren't getting kept clean enough.
Wow, y'all
Set on fire?
Turned over and set on fire usually. Hopefully nobody's in it. If you piss off the iron workers, it might be with someone in it.
Well, I was in South America and I shat in a hole in the public square in front of everybody because I guess that's how they do it down there. But I would have definitely preferred a cardboard box in a closet to that. But hey, we do what we have to do. So,
or even on the line, I'm guessing at that point. No shame now. I mean, why not?
Right. Well, I appreciate you, going through that, kind of lighthearted Triz exercise on creative destruction, and just highlights as operational excellence professionals, right? We have this vision that we're kind of moving forward with an organization to make the organization better. And a big part of what we're doing is facilitating conversations, facilitating learning, bringing the level of the individuals involved up, right? We're leveling up the team, and that can be a challenge. And you can go to school and get a whole degree in how to do this, right? There's organizational behavior, there's teaching, right? Group learning, coaching. These are, 4-year degrees and master's degrees.
Learning and development.
Learning and development, yeah. And so what I found was Liberating Structures sort of just distilled down a lot of that knowledge into 33 tools that you can use when you get to the group facilitation part of whatever you're doing. And so as such, these are methodologies that you use as you're doing something else, right? Like I said, you might know from experience that part of your Kaizen event is working through the 5 whys with the team, or the 9 whys, or 33 whys. But you don't actually know how to do it well in a group setting. And Liberating Structures just gives you a template that you can follow and get really good success without having to make it up on your own or think through it too deeply. You can just follow the script and get pretty damn good results. And I think that's what appealed to me the most.
It is, it's just so simple for folks to just go and read and follow the directions. I mean, and they're not hard directions or long directions. And the thing, John and Jake, about these things is they never fail to work. They never fail to get a result. It may not always be the result you expect, It may be surprising to you. Can I tell a story on myself?
Please.
Absolutely.
So I did, there's a liberating structure called What I Need From You. And you are asked to break down into your functional groups. And I did this with a project team where we had an owner's group, a group representing the owner. The owner wasn't actually there. It was a school, a high school being built. We had the contractor and then each of the functional trade partners there. We were, going through an orientation, sort of figuring out how to work together a little bit. And I was teaching them how to do pool planning and those kind of things involved with the last planner system, which is a lean construction tool. So we did an episode or an exercise of What I Need From You. And What I Need From You teaches us to both ask questions and learn to say yes and learn to say no when we're asked for help. So what I need from you is, like I said, broken down into the functional groups. So I had them all in their functional groups, and they each got to ask each functional group for 3 things that they needed. And that we were going through it and everybody got to ask, but the only responses you can give in What I Need From You are yes, no, I will try, or whatever. And whatever means is there's not enough information for me to even be able to make a determination. So it means I need more info. So it's yes, no, I will try, or whatever. And the owner's rep had forced the general contractor, to hire me. So I wasn't working for the owner's rep, but I was working for the owner's rep directly, even though I wasn't. But we did this, and it turned out, there was a lot of trouble with this project getting started. They were behind, they were having some issues, and all the fingers kept pointing back to the owner when we did this exercise. That the owner was the problem. They hadn't gotten permits, and they were asking people to go do work without permits and things like this that, just nobody's comfortable doing, because even though it is a government funded project and the city's going to give them a permit and all of this stuff, it's still not a comfortable situation for any contractor to do that work like that. They're at risk for it if something gets changed or whatever at that point. So, so it came back, and then, they really weren't happy to have me back anymore after that, after it turned out that all of this came from the owner who had forced them to hire me, but they were really the problem for the whole team anyway. And they were like, I spent all this money to get this consultant over here, and now you're not performing. It's like, whoa, guy, this is not what we're doing here at all. That's not the aim here. So, they just didn't get it. And I was happy to let that client go and move on down the road, find the next one. But,
yeah, it's a great example, I think, of, getting a result might not be what you had hoped for, but you're going to get a result. And also, I think a powerful lesson on as business influencers, whether we're the owner, a vice president, operations manager, or what have you, having open-mindedness and self-awareness to go where the facts lead. And I've seen the same thing many times that you described, right? It might not be an external consultant. It might be an internal consultant. I've seen this a lot where it's like, well, y'all can't get your shit together. So, I called corporate and the CI team is sending somebody out here to help you, get your shit together. Instead of using a liberating structure or some other tool to actually talk to people, actually facilitate conversation. And
figure out what's going on. Figure out what's going on.
We talk about going to Gemba, very important element of business leadership, at all levels for any business. I don't care if you're lean or not, a hospital, a school, a software company. You have to go to where the work is being done, and interact with those people. But having said that, we are moving more and more into the kind of world where teams create value, but they are not physically adjacent, right? So the traditional manufacturing plant is a contiguous operation and you're no more than maybe a quarter mile from everybody that's creating value from soup to nuts, right? And probably closer than that. Those days are behind us largely. Um, producing stuff is one of the last holdouts. But even that, your design team is in India and your marketing team is in New York and your production team is in South Carolina. But all three are creating value, right? They're actually the same team. Now you throw in something like software development. I mean, the whole team, like they're all working from home. This guy's in Seattle. This guy's in Iowa. This guy, well, probably not Iowa. I don't know if people actually live there.
Is there internet
But
in Iowa?
I don't know.
We love Iowa. Stop it.
Iowa
Stop
is
it. Darn it.
freaking
Stop it.
awesome. No, but you understand, like we're not physically next to each other anymore, and so for going to Gemba, while still important, like you have to supplement that now with the ability to facilitate mostly long distance conversations. You have to be able to Zoom with teams anymore. That's a non-negotiable skill. Just like going to the floor and asking why and looking for the more than 8 wastes. Topic for another podcast, not today.
Not today. Uh, no, and I'm really as far as the topic of the 8 wastes, I'm really shying away from waste right now and looking more at hard work as the thing to eliminate for most places. I think we get so much value out of eliminating hard work that waste becomes a not important to talk about. The reason that I don't like talking about waste is because people are waste and people have been waste throughout however long we've been doing this. And, we're not going to stop that from happening, in a lot of instances, at least from the way that people treat them, the way that people are treated. Not necessarily saying that people deserve to be waste, but that people are treated that way and that they end up being, sacrificed that way. At the beginning of the pandemic, people were laying people off left and right, without really even knowing what was going on, what was going to happen, or anything like that.
Yeah, and
I
which
am
people?
aware.
Frontline workers.
Right.
I
Now
am
they regretted
aware,
that right away.
definitely. I know a vice president of quality that lost their job in the pandemic. Imagine you're a company and your choice when your income stream is in question over the pandemic. I know who we should get rid of. Let's get rid of the quality person. That sounds like a great idea.
Let's shift the risk elsewhere.
Yeah.
Risk can't be shifted ever. That's the fallacy that's in American business today, is that somehow we can push risk on somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, or all the way down to the individual. And I'm like, no,
Risk can't
that's
be
yours,
even
buddy.
moved.
That's yours, buddy.
If you lose a client, there is nothing punitive that you can do to anybody that ever replaces that. Nothing.
Yep. You're
Nothing.
absolutely correct. And to expand on what you were saying earlier, because I think this is a very valuable psychological tool and perspective that lean consultants and facilitators can learn from. If you are making things easier and better, you are eliminating waste. But there is something very strong about focusing on easier and better with a team, as opposed to let's find all the shit, uncover this, uncover that. I knew it. You took 17 steps. Now I'm looking at the Maynard operating system right here. You're supposed to take 15 and a half steps. Aha. Did you know in a year I'm paying you 3 extra hours for that? So by focusing on
And
easier,
that's
better,
how you get poop in boxes, my
and
friends.
That is how.
you get it.
That is how. That is how.
Well,
I want to go poop in a box right now, just hearing it.
and if you're Amazon, you have an app talking to you that way, right? It's even one step removed. Um, but yeah, so I like that word. I think it's great advice for folks that are in the space. You have to understand psychology and how people work. And in my experience, trying to jam lean down people's throats and make sure that their mind is right and that they have all of the lingo down, etc., is counterproductive, right? I mean, what are you trying to do here? Create a
Better,
bunch of
easier. That's it.
yeah. Well, unless as a lean practitioner, my goal is about me and not about the people doing the work, right? If it's about my ego and creating a bunch of clones that know that Gemba is spelled with an N and not an M, then yeah.
Those that can't figure out how to spell it probably can't find it either, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
So Brian,
Genji Genbutsu, not Genji Genbutsu.
my favorite is, like I'll transliterate Japanese that I heard somebody speak. I don't know how it's not spelled in English. It's spelled with one of those kanjis or whatever, right? I can spell it however I want.
Pick uniform or whatever you call them, the
Yes.
overarching term.
And then somebody will be like, it's not actually spelled that way. I'm like, yeah, it's not spelled in English at all, dumbass. It's called a transliteration. And I actually heard a real human say it instead of reading it in a book. So I'm just saying.
Not only that, most of the translations that we got from the early Toyota work weren't translated correctly either.
Yeah, that's an ongoing conversation as well, right?
Yeah, it was specifically 4Y, not 5. All you guys with the 5Y have it.
You could go straight to hell, Jake. It was 6. You could go straight to hell, sir. It was 6 Ys. Apostate!
When my sensei, Taiichi Ono, talked to me about the 3 Ys, I'm just saying.
Well, when Mr. Deming told me about problem solving, sir.
Well, Deming had some good ideas, but he couldn't really make it happen. That was really Hideki Matsui. So, Brian,
Even so, why is his first name plural? Why is it Edwards? I feel like I don't trust you already.
Because his mother. His mother insisted. It was a family name.
Oh, it's like a
Fair
last
enough.
name. But his first name was Bill. He just went by Edwards, right?
William Edwards, William Deming or something like that.
Yeah.
Something.
So clearly we're all like professionals and historians about Billy Deming. So y'all
Wild Bill, he was known back in the day, sir.
Bill Deming.
Wild Bill Deming. Yep. Yeah! Brian, thank you for coming on a quality podcast this week to share with us these tools, Liberating Structures, that facilitators and professionals in the lean community and operational excellence, continuous improvement can use. I will link the website down below. I hope folks will check it out. I certainly found it. What? What do you? I don't know.
What?
Okay, so
We're not allowed to dress up for the end of the episode.
For everybody out there in YouTube land, thank you for joining a quality podcast. John, Jake, and Brian. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Brian winning turkey, ladies and gentlemen. Winning turkey.
Easy there, Jake Carroll, the unfunniest guy in lean.